What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over my grenade spam build for Lepic. I've been playing with this build for the last couple of days and I've had an absolute blast. He is such a fun character. Adding the trigger modules to Lepic kind of changes how he plays and it is such a fun build. I've been running around Axion Plains just absolutely demolishing everything with this build. It's really fun to use off meta builds that are just kind of fun. They're not really supposed to be the best damage or the best support or whatever. Sometimes you just need to put together those fun builds that just kind of do some wacky things. I mean, you can do stuff like this. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. As always, if you guys do need screenshots, they are at the end of the video, or if you jump to this timestamp right here on screen. But without further ado, let's jump in and let's check it all out and see how it works. Lepic is one of those characters that has always had kind of a weird spot in the game. He's not necessarily the best at anything. He's also not necessarily the worst at anything. He's kind of just middle of the pack. And even though this build is pretty good in Axion Plains, it's just because of the mob density in the actual plains rather than just the fact that this build is like super strong. But you can do some really wacky things and it's actually pretty decent as far as damage is concerned. For the actual build itself, this is going to be a skill crit build, so we are obviously going to be using the crit mods, but the whole entire concept of the build is to just kind of enhance what Lepic already does with his base kit. For the Transcendent module, we're going to be using regenerative braking. Now, basically what this does is a chance to just recover your MP whenever you use a skill. And since we're going to be spamming his first ability to throw a grenade like constantly back to back, it's just a good way to just always have a skill being used. That way we always have a chance for MP to be recovered. As for the cooldown side of things, we're going to be using Nimble Fingers, MP Conversion, Focus on Fire, as well as Focus on Tech. These four are going to be giving us a total of 74.3% skill cooldown reduction. And we're also going to be building into both our fire and tech for this build, since that's kind of what we're going to be using. Something else we want to focus on is going to be our effect range. Now, our skill effect range is important because we're going to be throwing down our third ability, which is going to pull all the enemies that get caught in that giant ring into the center, creating a toad effect. So the more skill effect range we have, then obviously the better. That way we can pull in more enemies into that center point and then just start spamming grenades at them continuously until everything is dead. And then of course we're using the skill crit hit package of skill concentration, skill insight, emergency measures, and front lines. These four just work in every single skill crit build. This is just the go-to for. This will give us both a 207% increase to our skill critical hit rate as well as critical hit damage. So we're basically just going to be pushing it as far as we absolutely can. And then for the final mod, we're going to be rocking Decimator just to kind of round everything out. Since we are going to be catching things on fire, we are automatically going to be getting benefits from Decimators since we are killing things that have a debuff. So basically we just make our grenades stronger and it just kind of all works. As for the trigger module, there is kind of two ways you can go about this. I personally went with Death by 1,000 Cuts just because it is kind of funny to see all of these just meteors just raining down and killing things that are kind of off to the side, stuff you're not necessarily targeting, just increasing your DPS as well as kind of like your skill spread. But you can also go with Power Beyond just to give yourself a bigger increase to your skill power. Just by equipping it, it will naturally just make your stuff stronger. So if you're just going strictly for damage, I would put on Power Beyond. But if you want to have a little bit more control of the battlefield and killing more things at once in a wider spread area, then I would put on Death by 1,000 Cuts. Basically, with Death by 1,000 Cuts, every third grenade you throw is going to activate its ability, dropping one of those meteors down, or a couple of those meteors down, and just kind of taking out things that are off to the side or, you know, randomly in front of you or whatever the case may be, or even attacking your like giant cluster of enemies that just got towed all into your third ability. So it kind of just works really well with his build, especially since we are constantly spamming those grenades, that this happens very frequently. Here is the full build. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. It's been an absolute blast to play. I've been playing this for the last few days just to kind of prepare for this video. And I gotta say, man, it's probably one of the most fun builds I've put together for sure. It works really well. It does a surprising amount of damage. And I actually enjoy Lepic. I really hope he gets buffed with one of those like weekly, or not weekly, but monthly buffs that they're going to be bringing. Those like patches every month. I really hope that he gets some love next, because we all saw what happened to Jaber, and I could only imagine what this build could do if he did get some sort of like increase to damage or something along the lines of that. I think that this would be actually a pretty top contender for ad clear. As for the weapons themselves, since we are a tech descendant, we are obviously going to be using Secret Garden. We've talked about this multiple times on different builds. This is like the go-to if you're using any sort of like skill-based descendant and you just want to run around really fast and throw your skills. This especially works really well on stuff like Lepic or NS or even like Freyna. Those three specifically are just really good with this because they are tech descendants, and this is benefiting us in damage if we are using tech skills. You're going to want throw, grappling hook, charge on here, as well as 2 sprint speed cores, just to have it be kind of the optimal run and gun kind of gun, except you're not using it for the gun aspect of a run and gun build, but you're using this basically for sprint speed and for your grappling hook and for its actual unique effect. You're not using this for anything else. I will show you all of the different mods. If you want to copy this, go for it. I don't shoot this gun for damage, that is. I only really shoot this gun at things just to have brisk walk activate. You guys can take a screenshot of this if you want. It's not super important. The only thing that's really important here is brisk walk and the cores themselves, and the fact that it is the Secret Garden and it does what the Secret Garden does. For another gun, you definitely want to use something that is an ad clear type weapon. Malevolent was just kind of my go-to choice, but you can use like Thunder Cage here. You could honestly use like Last Dagger here. You could use a rocket launcher if you really wanted to. But we're basically going to be running around with Secret Garden in hand and just using that and throwing our skills. However, Malevolent is a fantastic choice if you wanted to deal some damage. Especially since in this build we are kind of like towing everything into the center point, and then you could just blast it down with Malevolent if you really wanted to. It's definitely a way to play, but I don't typically pull this thing out for any reason unless I'm trying to deal some extra damage to like an end game boss, like an end mission boss or something. As for the actual mods itself, I've shown this a couple of times on the channel. If you want to copy this, you can. There's a lot of different ways to build this gun. This is just what I found to work best for me. So for the reactor, we are going to be using a fire and tech reactor, since that is what our skills that we're dealing damage with do. We also want to make sure that we have tactical rifle mounting, just because we're running around with Secret Garden. And then I chose for skill cooldown as well as tech damage, but honestly, there's a couple of different builds that you could kind of work, or a couple different roles that you could actually like get to work here. Skill cooldown tech is a good one. Skill cooldown and fire. You could even go with like skill cooldown, skill critical hit damage. That's what I've been trying to find, the skill cooldown and skill critical hit. But I just can't find it. I've been farming for it for the past couple of days and I just can't seem to get it to drop. So feel free to kind of mess around with there. The skill cooldown is pretty important. The other one, you can kind of roll a couple of different choices. Personally, I would go with skill critical hit damage. For the external components, we're going to be rocking a 4-piece of the Slayer set. Now, the Slayer set's really interesting because of what it does for us in the build. Real quick, we'll go over its roles. We have the all across the board, all of your cores are going to be your max HP and defense. There's not really a reason to use anything else. As for the actual roles themselves, we want to focus on all of the MP stuff. So MP recovery in and out of combat, max MP, max HP, some MP recovery modifiers, some defense, some whatever on this one. It doesn't matter. The processor is irrelevant. But the cool thing about the Slayer set in a 4-piece is the fact that we're able to tow in this build. Lepic's third ability tows all of the enemies to the center point whenever you throw down his little like gadget. And so we can actually play into the whole entire effect of Slayer rather than just what people normally use it for, just throwing it on to get an additional skill power. We will get the skill power, but also be able to use the full effect of Slayer since we're towing. So just more MP recovery, which is nice. It kind of just works really well with the kit, and it just kind of made sense to use Slayer set over anything else. For your arcade tuning, this is kind of what I was rocking. I'm still kind of testing this, but this is a pretty standard just arcade board for like ability spam type builds. We're going to go up into fire cohesion. We're also going to be grabbing enhanced skill cooldown as well as enhanced skill power. And then all of the purple nodes kind of just benefit the build. So like, for instance, we're getting skill critical hit rate right here. We're getting some more MP, some more skill power, some more skill power, some more skill cost reduction, as well as skill range, which are all beneficial to this build. So this has been working really well for me. There's not really anything else you should be using except for this right here. You could maybe argue the mutant cell choice. Fire cohesion seems to be kind of the best choice, but there's a lot of different things you can do. We're defeating enemies with skills that are fire related. Therefore, we get more fire related power when we kill enemies. So just kind of works. As for the Inversion Reinforcement, we are going to be rocking emergency antibody generation, selective neurostimulation, and Arche circulation tactics. Basically, we got whenever we activate a skill or hit an enemy with a skill, we get more skill cooldown, just faster cooldowns. This one gives us our MP every, different interval, every 45 seconds. And then this one, whenever I'm hit by an enemy, I basically start gaining attribute resistances, so just helping with my survivability. This one could probably be changed for maybe like pain suppression or even like deploy resonance device. Or you could even throw on one of the focus rounds for your guns. Honestly, this works for me, just more survivability. So I don't have a ton of health with this build. It's a little glass cannon-ish, but this works pretty well. As for the fashion, we're obviously going to be using the Thunderbearer skin. I'm pretty much putting this on like every single Descendant that I can. And then we're rocking his 44th Grenader mask. I don't remember what this came from. I don't even know if you can obtain this anymore. It might have been a season pass. But we're definitely liking this look as far as kind of like the mask effect, but you still have like the hair showing. I don't know. I thought it looked really cool. We're rocking a couple of the different blacks as well as the elastic dark red. And then we have the shiny metal silver in there. And then the actual glow itself is going to be this matte red. Just kind of thought it looked really nice. I tried this elastic dark red for the glow part, and it was just a little too pink. So this one gives a little bit more of a red than this one did. And then kind of same thing here, same color palette, with the same exact glow for the eyes, just to make them kind of look like scary. I don't know. I kind of get like Jason Voorhees vibes from the mask. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Jason X, but it kind of gives that vibes from Jason X. I'm old. As well, we got him this sword, of course, because I like the sword. I throw it on all my characters. Think it looks really clean. And then I'm doing a fire spawn just because he's a fire character, so might as well. Wow, you actually skipped to the screenshots. Nah, I'm just playing. That's totally cool. I hope you enjoy the screenshots, and if you have any questions, please drop a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. All right, guys, that is going to be the Lepic grenade spam build. I've been having a ton of fun with this one. Like I said, it's not the best build in the game. It's not going to break the game. It's, oh my gosh, so much damage. It's just fun. It's just straight up fun. And at the end of the day, that's how I like to play this game. I like to just have a lot of fun. So hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think of the build down below, or if you guys are going to try it out for yourselves. I would love to hear all of that in the comments. But catch you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, peace out, guys.